Hello, once again, I'm Doug with Totally Rad, and today I wanted to walk you through just some basics about the PixelSugar workflow and cover a couple things that are confusing for new PixelSugar users about how this program works and what kind of things you'll see on your disk as you work through working with files in PixelSugar. So first of all, PixelSugar is divided up into 4 panels. If you've seen our Getting Started video, then this will be familiar to you. On the left is the Files panel, basically a file browser where you can explore your hard drive and choose a photo to work with. Preview panel, where you see the current large version of your document that you're working with. The Corrections panel over here, which allows you to make basic quick adjustments. The Recipe, which we'll get to in a second, which shows the changes you've made so far. And then over here on the right is your library, which contains all the different filters and recipes you have in PixelSugar. So to get started, all you really need to do is just go navigate to the folder that has your photos and click on it to open it. I've got this folder called PixelSugar that I just use for videos full of random images. And so if we click this photo, or let's use this one just for kicks, that becomes the active document and you can immediately begin editing. So whether it's a JPEG or a RAW file, you don't need to do any import operation, don't need to copy it into the program. All you do literally is just click it and you're ready to go. First thing you're gonna wanna do with almost any photo is to take a look and say, do I need to make any corrections to brightness or color balance or exposure, white balance if you're working with RAW photos, and to bring it to sort of a neutral place that isn't too bright or too dark, basically would be correctly exposed from a technical perspective and correctly balanced. And so in this case, I actually think it's probably a little bright. I think that was probably an artistic choice on the part of the photographer. So we're gonna bring this down a little bit, and I think we're just gonna leave it right there. So the next step is to come in here and basically browse your list of filters until you find something that speaks to you or that solves a particular problem that you're trying to solve. And as you hover over any one of these thumbnails, you'll see a preview of what would happen if you were to apply that filter to the photo. So in this case, if I hover over Eternal, you'll see a little grayed out, semi-translucent version of what would happen to the Recipe panel if I applied it. And if I click it, then Eternal becomes the first filter in our stack and the first item in our recipe. You'll also notice that as you hover over things, the preview changes to give you a larger preview of how the photo would change. That way you can kind of get a closer look before committing to something. So once you've applied a filter, it's really common for a filter that you're looking at to take something farther than you want. The photo or the filters in PixelSugar are a little stronger than they should be by design, because what we want to let you do is say, that's kind of the direction I want to take it, but maybe a little less. So typically you'll start by applying something, and then you'll move this slider around until you're happy with the general overall look. And then if you want to, you can come down here and use this detail sliders for the filter itself. Some filters give you some additional options to modify their behavior in the adjustments panel down here, but we'll get into that in a future episode. I think that's probably diving a little too deep for today. So the next thing that you'll want to know about is this whole idea of recipes. So PixelSugar is built to allow you to create a processing recipe that works for your photos and reflects your style, and then to store it and use it over and over again. It's sort of like a preset for your recipe, except it doesn't include any changes to these corrections up here. It's just the stuff in this recipe panel right here. And recipes in the library work the same way that filters do. If you hover over a thumbnail, you're going to see a preview on the preview panel over here of what would change with your photo if you were to apply it. So by hovering over Doug's stuff number 1, you get a preview, and by clicking it, that becomes the current recipe, replacing whatever changes you had made. You can undo that using the Edit menu or Control-Z, or you could just apply another recipe that works for you, anything that you've collected over the years. And you can also browse these just like you would filters to find something that works for your photo. So I actually think that looks pretty cool. So you can preview the effect of a recipe before and after, see basically what the photo looked like when you started and where you are now with this eye icon underneath the preview panel. You can also see what removing a filter would do for a recipe by clicking this eyeball icon next to each filter. And that will turn the filter on or off, just as if you were removing it, but without actually having to click this trash can icon to take it out. All right, so now that we've made edits to this photo, you'll notice that our thumbnail over here has a little line on it under the file name. That's our little subtle way of letting you know that this is a photo that has some changes made to it. And what we mean by that is that if you come over here to the directory that has all these photos, you'll notice that photo number 12, the one we're working with, has a new file here called the same file name, 12.jpg, but with a PXS extension. .pxs is the document extension for PixelSugar's document files, and this is our way of providing you with non-destructive editing without requiring you to do imports into a catalog. It also makes it really clear exactly where the data about the changes you've made to that photo is stored. So if we were to delete this and come back to PixelSugar, it would be as if we had made no changes to the document at all. Alternately, undo that and bring it back. And once again, when we open up this photo again, the edit data that the edit we were performing is back. So that's the location, those PXS files, of the data that contains the recipe and any cropping or other changes you've made to the photo. And it's not the final product, though. It's not the thing that you actually produce at the end to share. It's not an image file. No other editors know how to open it. To create that, what you're going to want to do is come over here to PixelSugar and click the Export button. And you can choose to save it to a different place, to change the file name. You can choose different image formats, and make some other choices about how you want to export that. But the bottom line is, when you export the image, what you're going to get is a new JPEG, in this case just with +1, because we've chosen to let PixelSugar automatically resolve the file name conflict. And that's going to be a rendered version with your changes applied and ready to go. So that's the PixelSugar workflow in a nutshell. I hope you learned something new from it. If you have any other questions, feel free to let us know in the comments. Tell us what else you want to know and what else you want to see in the app. Also, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us on the PixelSugar user group on Facebook to connect with other PixelSugar users and stay on top of all the latest changes as we add new features to the app and make new cool videos telling you how it works. Thanks!